Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Coincider live stream, just like we do every single Friday. Today, I'm back here with my partner, Kevin,
How's it going,
and
guys? Long time no see.
it's great to have him back on the show. But before we get into things, just a quick mic check. How is our mics sounding?
Yeah, I want to know if my mic sounds good because, as you can tell, I'm in a different place. So my mic setup is also different. It's not my usual mic. So please let us know in the chat if both Josh's volume and my volume is good, or if someone needs to turn up their mic, then we can do that.
Great. Yeah. So just go ahead and leave a comment if you can hear us nice and clear, and we will get right into it. Personally, I can hear you quite clearly, Kevin. I'm not sure about the community here.
Yeah, we can keep on going, and if they tell us something, we can change it.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we're really excited to get into this one today because there's a lot of exciting things going on in the market as far as the Tron ecosystem. Justin Sun seems to be making some serious plays and a new meme market emerging on Tron. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that later, but some more pressing news came out today, right before the stream, and that has to do with Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve. And we're going to go ahead and look at everything going on right now as far as the Federal Reserve and what that could mean for our precious crypto, what that could mean for our altcoins, as well as some other
Yes.
catalysts that are going on right now in the market. So let's just jump right into it. We want to start off with a tweet here. So this is pretty funny. This is Jerome Powell versus the short sellers. Now, what could be the reason for this meme, for this video here? If we jump over to this tweet over here, as you can see, Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve, the chair of the Federal Reserve, he had come out today and said that the time has come for policy to adjust, to cut interest rates, and timing, pace of rate cuts will depend on incoming data, evolving outlooks of balance of risks, and we don't seek or welcome further labor market cooling. So, what can this all mean for the market? Translation: they say he's ready to turn on the money printer again and cut rates. Kevin, what are your thoughts on these progressions that we're seeing today here at the Federal Reserve with Jerome?
Yeah, guys, this is huge. This just came out before our stream, so this is massive. It caused a huge pump in the stock markets and Bitcoin and crypto markets too, but that kind of retraced a little bit. But basically, they're at a Jackson Hole meeting, which is a pretty big meeting, I believe annually. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's basically saying that it's time to change policy. It's time to not be so restrictive. It's time to cut rates. And we all know that long term, if rates are cut, then money is going to seek different assets in different places that give higher returns than low interest rate Fed T bills, right? So that means it's bullish long term for risk assets such as Bitcoin and crypto and altcoins. If this continues, if they have a big cut, we could have a full on alt season soon after, potentially.
Yes, exactly. Some really exciting stuff. Now, these are the things that really move the needle as far as an altcoin season sparking up. Let's actually go ahead and take a quick look at the crypto bubbles and see if we have any sort of early reaction to that. On the day, we can see that we're actually up 5+% on a lot of major altcoins here, which is pretty cool to see. Now, once these rate cuts actually start to take place, we can, like Kevin said, we can potentially kick off an entire alt season, which is exciting to see. And we've had quite a strong week across some of the higher market cap tokens and protocols out there. So that's really great to see, and that can really sort of kick off an entire alt season. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with that. Now, a big narrative that's been taking place over the last week is the Tron ecosystem. We have Tron's TRX token almost reaching the same levels as it's seen in the 2021 bull market.
Can you zoom
And
all the way out?
yeah,
Is what is its all time high? Is it 2021 or is it 2017?
I
That's what
believe
I'm
it was
curious
I
about.
believe it was 2021. Let's go ahead. I'm trying to zoom out. It's saying I'm zoomed out as max as possible. I can change the
Oh, maybe you have to go to
time
like
frame here.
CoinGecko or something like that.
Here we go. So yes, it was 2021 where Tron had its all-time high here, which was at around 17 cents. And today we're trading at around 15 cents. So nearing all-time highs. And what could be the reason for this? It's actually the Tron
No,
networks.
that's not right. That's not right. That chart on Binance doesn't have all the historical price data. If you go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, you'll see
Let's
a
go.
longer time frame.
CoinGecko. Let's get Tron up.
Yeah.
We want to be as accurate as possible here. TRX Tron. Trading at that 15 cents. Let's go max. Let's see. So back in 2018, for a brief period of time, actually touched over 20 cents. Looks like just under. I'm trying to see that all-time high.
Yeah, if you scroll down on the left, it should say all-time high price, if I'm not mistaken.
23 cents. So it's actually only 30% away from its all-time high over a 6-year span, as we can see here. So Tron having a run and having a season in of itself, this could potentially be direction from the emerging meme market we're seeing with SunPump,
Yes.
Sun.pump, which is Pump.fund's competitor over on the Tron network. I gotta close CoinGecko because again,
Yeah.
CoinGecko,
Yeah.
CoinMarketCap for
You
some
should
reason
you should
doesn't
close those.
agree
Those are
with my
making you
system.
lag.
Yeah. So here we are with SunPump, and as you can tell, it's a direct sort of competitor to Pump.fund that they have over on Solana. And again, a bunch of meme coins just
You
coming
mean
out.
on Tron. On Tron, not on Solana.
Yeah, I'm saying to compete with Pump Fund, which is on Solana. We have
Oh,
Sun
okay,
Pump
okay,
on
okay. My bad.
Tron.
My bad.
No,
You're
you're
right.
good. You're good. It has a very similar interface. If you've used Pump Fund before, you pretty much know exactly what's going on here. These are a bunch of new tokens, new meme coins mostly that are coming out. And some of them have actually gone on to do some pretty
I
serious numbers.
I actually like this UI better because Pump.fun gives me a headache. It's like if someone has like epilepsy, do not look at the Pump.fun website. It's like new things flashing on your screen every second, and it's like you're at a rave essentially. This is much more chill. Um but yes, I do agree with Adam. He just wrote a comment that Justin Sun has done many shady stuff. So
Yeah.
while this is okay and it is interesting to see TRX, that's what something I told someone. They're like, "Why is TRX pumping so much, almost at all-time highs?" I was like, "Look, that's the thing you got to understand is that things like TRX and BNB, those are so centrally controlled by like CZ and Justin respectively that they can manipulate it as they want. They could just be like no one sell at all and then the sell pressure drops like 80% or something like that. So they can manipulate pump and dumps at a whim, at their own whim essentially. But
Yeah.
I think there's still interesting stuff to look at in the Tron ecosystem. Obviously, they have some real demand and utility. So that's what we want to look at today. And I think Josh has been exploring that ecosystem. So I'll let him share more about what he's found so far.
Yes, indeed. So there was actually a day where SunPump actually had more transactions and more usage than Pump.fun. Again, I agree with Adam's sentiment that, hey, Justin Sun and the people behind this, it's very centralized, so they can manipulate things in their favor. However, if we go ahead and look at the data and look at the metrics, we see that it's actually been on a parabolic rise, and there has been opportunities underneath the Tron ecosystem. For instance, Sundog, which was the first major Sun.pump token, actually achieved over a 200 mil market cap. It's retraced a little bit since, and there's been a ton of them over here, as you can see on we're on Deck Screener right now, and this is all Tron tokens. I assume most of these coming from SunPump and just having a ton of volume. Some of them seeing actually deep liquidity and getting a lot of attention from the degens. But with all this excitement being said, I kind of want to also, play devil's advocate, because you have to go ahead and give yourself a reality check for grinding in the trenches, as Adam Tech said right here. So these are metrics for pump fun, but this is pretty much the same as you're going to be getting on any of these new meme token deployer sites. As you can see, the odds are still stacked very much against you, right? Not in your favor. If you were to earn even $1,000 on Pump Fund, you are in the top 3% of all wallets. And these numbers are getting even smaller and smaller. And
Bro,
things like,
someone did analysis saying that you're better off playing slots at the
yeah,
casino than doing stuff on Pump Fun, unless you're like making tokens and pumping and dumping on people. In that case, it's a different story.
in that case, it's a different story. Or unless you have some special information,
Yeah,
you're part
exactly.
of the cabal of some kind, or you actually joined a community from early that seems like it has real merit. If you're just on these sites and you're randomly just aping into these random coins that come out, chances are you are going to lose that money. So I would take it all with a grain of salt. There's a lot of attention there, but it's important not to get FOMO and just jump into these things blindly. If you are considering one that you see interesting, always do thorough research. Check out the Telegram, check out the Twitter, because it is hard to hit on one that actually makes it off of this site and onto a real exchange, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one
By the
thing.
way, one thing interesting I did find, I saw this on a X post, but I can't find it anymore. Someone made an art gallery based on all the Pump.fun and SunPump, etc. stuff. And I think that's actually quite interesting because I would never buy these tokens, but the art that they make is kind of, if you want to call it art, if you want to be generous, some of them
Yeah,
are actually quite interesting and like visually unique, you know? So,
that's pretty interesting. I mean, let's see if we can see
yeah.
any interesting art here. To me, a lot of the ones here on Sun Pump look maybe AI generated or kind of thrown together,
Yeah,
but
that's true. I bet
that
most
is
of them are
interesting.
AI generated. But
Yeah.
also, here's the thing. This is like the cardinal rule of crypto. It's like
Mm.
if you get in early to a trend, that is makes all the difference in the world in terms of your um kind of results, right? Because if you know like Pump.fun, it needs to reach a certain number of liquidity to get sent to the dexes, right?
Right.
Yeah, look at how like epilepsy
It's
conducive
annoying.
this is. It's crazy. I can't even follow
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, that's annoying. I'll click
Um
this one.
so in the past when things were early, things would like reach that threshold and get put on the dex automatically. But now it's like so many tokens getting launched. It's like most of them don't even reach that bonding curve threshold or whatever you want to call it,
Exactly.
right? So now it's like even if you're an airdrop or even if you're a token launcher, that's still stacked against you these days.
Yep.
It's stacked
Exactly.
against you guys. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, 100%. Because as you can see in the last 24 hours, 7.7K tokens launched, and only 61 actually made it to a DEX, right? So
61 graduated. Wow. What is that?
yeah,
Let's see. One sec. Let me do the math real quick. Point 0.8%.
yeah. 0.8% of all the tokens launched. And these 7,000 tokens are, flooding an already existing 100,000 plus. I don't even know how much at this point tokens that are already on the platform, right? So it's very, very saturated. And I believe we're going to see that soon with Sun Pump and a few of the other ones. Now, as Kevin mentioned, it pays to be early a lot of the times to trends. And with the potential of CZ getting out of jail very soon, the bees are already swarming to BNB, and there's actually a version over on BSC that's
No
gaining
way.
quite a
That's
lot of
crazy.
traction.
CZ
Yep,
would be all over this if he wasn't in jail right now.
100%. So the DGens are trying to get ahead of it, and now we also have 4 dot meme. It's definitely lagging behind the other two, SunPump and Pump.fun, as we can see here. But they still had an C300 tokens created today versus 7,000 created today on Pump Fun. But again, 3% migrated. So just a little better percentages barely on here. But same thing, pretty much the exact same deal as you get if you've used Pump Fund, if you use Sun Pump, you know what you're looking at here. These are brand new tokens that are coming out, and you can see the ones that actually made it off of
Yeah,
the platform
but
into PancakeSwap. But the thing is, again, very saturated game. And I want to actually pull up this tweet really quickly because it goes ahead and shows you sort of the diminishing returns that kind of go with a
exactly,
trend here, right?
exactly. This is perfect.
So
That's
we
what I was gonna
have,
say. Like the barrier to entry is so low. Like you literally just need a tiny bit of Sol, TRX, or BNB, and you can launch one. So yes, this 3% graduation rate right now for 4.meme, but very soon there's gonna be thousands and thousands of people launching tokens on there, and
exactly.
it's gonna be the same deal as the rest. So this says it perfectly.
Yes, 100%. So you had the OG first mover with Pump.fun, the first one to gain major adoption on Solana, and obviously had a crazy wave. It's still going. And then you had Sun Pump, which I don't believe that wave is gonna last anywhere as long or be anywhere as strong as Solana's. And then we have 4Meme. We might see another one here, maybe on Avalanche. We might see another one on Polygon or something like that. And eventually you get those diminishing returns, and investors sort of, get educated and they mature from sort of this whole game, right, that's going on with this. So as you can
Yeah.
see, the odds are stacked well against you. And what's funny to me is, I wanted to pull up this tweet because Solana has been the degen chain, the meme chain of this entire cycle.
For
And
sure.
the cabal, it's funny that this tweet says the cabal really tried to get you from Sol to ETH, then from Sol to base, then from base to ton, then from Sol to Tron, and now the one that's unlisted is Sol to BSC. And every single time the degens come back to Sol because that's still where the majority of these meme communities are being formulated, and so on and so forth. So it'd be like a brief vacation on these other chains, and then it ends up back in Sol, according to OX Visitor. What
Yep.
do you think about this? Would you agree?
Yeah, that does make sense. But I am curious though because I saw you post in our retail investors DAO Discord,
Yeah.
which everyone should join. By the way, if you're not in retail DAO Discord, check out our description. We have a link there to sign up. We have great discussion, great alpha in there. Even though it's not a raging bull market right now, I can only imagine what it's going to be when the bull truly comes to form. But anyways, um, I saw that you said you're exploring the Tron ecosystem
Yes.
and getting some TRX, doing some stuff on there. I'm wondering what exactly you're doing, and I think that'd be great alpha for other people because the Tron ecosystem is arguably the hottest ecosystem for now. Don't know how long that's gonna last, but it is super hot now. So I'm wondering like what all you're like looking at and trying out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when the bees do swarm to a new ecosystem or a new network, that undeniably comes with opportunity, whether you like Justin Sun or not, whether you like the chain or not, where the liquidity flows, it's good to at least have a look. Or I like to say, where the liquidity flows, I go. But so with that, as I mentioned, comes new opportunities. I would go on Twitter. I would go on Telegram. I would actually join these community projects and sort of see the vibes and sort of see the overall motion of where some of these tokens are going, which ones are getting the most amount of attention, which ones are raising capital, so on and so forth. You don't have to necessarily ape in all at once, but you definitely want to keep an ear to the ground. So I would tap in with a few different Tron KOLs. I don't like to really use that word. They have a bad rap. I would tap in with a lot of different Tron KOLs. I would join these communities, even the DGen meme communities, and I would sort of make a short list of what I see as the most promising plays for the short term, because just because the spotlight is on Tron today doesn't mean it will be on Tron next week. So you want to see how to position yourself and just get as much information as you can. As Kevin mentioned earlier, one of the best ways to do this is to simply be part of a really good community like Retail DAO, where I will go ahead and share my findings. Other DJs like me, who are in the trenches doing research, again, would come back to the Retail DAO, share their findings, share their alpha, exchange notes. And this is how you really have an edge in the market, where, they say there's cabals out there, so the edge is already against you. So you have to really create your own edge by pretty much getting as much information and knowledge as you can about an emerging ecosystem. So that's pretty much what I would do on just like a baseline level. If I find something really promising, I would allocate a little bit of capital and see what happens. So that's pretty much how I would play that.
Nice. Nice to hear.
So,
Yeah. And we want to form our own cabal in
That's right.
Retail DAO one day. That would be amazing. Like, have the power to find great things, share it with each other, and just make moves.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really what it is about. So we had 4 meme now. We're anticipating CZ getting out of jail. So there are a few different things. What I found a little bit interesting is that BNB themselves is actually pushing 4 meme, the meme platform. And I think they're trying to, I don't want to say take advantage of the current situation, but they see the sort of traction in TVL that some of these meme token deployer platforms are getting. So they're actually pushing theirs. They had a contest, I believe, the meme innovation leaderboard, and they actually have 4 at number 2 on their leaderboard, and they are looking to push their version of the current meta. So interesting to see. Again, I still believe in that chart that is diminishing returns, but there will still be opportunities within that ecosystem. We saw Sundog go on a crazy run. I have some friends who were able to catch 10x's, 20x's, and just quick little plays like that. So something to be cognizant of and be aware of. And so
I sent you something on Discord, by the way, in terms of other news to look at.
Okay, we can pull that up. So we got Sonium here. So did you want to go ahead and cover this, or I can read through this tweet?
So basically, Sony is building a public ETH layer 2, which is pretty great. It's based on optimism. If you look at some of the quote tweets, I think there's some interesting commentary on it. Yeah, if you go to the ... on the top right,
quotes,
and then view post engagements.
I didn't even really take in. You can see just post. Sony announced its L2 Sonium, built with the OP stack. That's kind of crazy.
Everyone likes the OP stack.
Yes, of course. Good
Too bad
potential.
I don't think it actually benefits OP token, but it's still good to see that their stack is
100%. Congrats to our friends at Sony launching a powerful new L2. So now we're seeing players like Sony get in the game, launching their own
crazy
layer. So to be honest, and we also have, I believe, is it called Gamescom, a huge gaming convention going on right now in Germany, with a bunch of play to earns and a bunch of crypto gaming presence there as well. Plus now we're seeing Sony come out with their own layer 2. Do you think potentially this can be a bit of a foreshadowing for that elusive GameFi season that we've all been waiting on?
I hope so, because I have some GameFi allocations or exposure in my portfolio, but we'll see. I mean, we've seen like a lot of traditional Web 2 companies come into Web 3, but some of them fizzled out, like Starbucks and Reddit were the big players last cycle, and they actually did real stuff on like Polygon and whatnot.
Yeah.
But those kind of fizzled out, if we're to be honest.
It's true.
So we'll see what happens here. I hope it does well, but you know how this goes. A lot of times the big corporations, they're just like tourists in this space.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%. That's interesting to see. Sonium blockchain. Cool. And I'm trying to think, do they have any competitors, would you say, in the space? Like, are any other large tech companies like this creating, like large Web2 tech companies like this creating blockchains from your knowledge or have created a blockchain?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Sonium. So is that a whole separate? Let's go back to the original tweet. It is a whole separate entity. Cool. Sonium. I will keep an eye on Sonium. Thank you for sharing, Kevin. All right. So
I share
also,
with you another tweet, by the way.
okay. I'll pull
Actually, I'm
that
going to share
up.
with you two new tweets. I dropped two. If you can look at the first one first and then the second one.
Got you. All right. Let's have a look here.
Yeah,
So better
that's
for a
me.
project to have raised $0 than $100 million these days. You know what? I fully agree.
This is the $100 million raise club. You see, uh, heck, Monad. What's this? What's the third one? Is that Degen?
The third one is Farcaster.
Farcaster. Okay, Monad, Farcaster, OP, Barachain, Eigenlayer, Wormhole, Polygon, World Chain, Sui. Heck, I don't even know some of those other ones, but
This is layer zero here. ZK
Aptos,
Sync,
yeah.
Aptos, of course, AVAX. I'm not sure what the S and then this one is.
S may be Story Protocol, I think.
Story Protocol, interesting. And then this one here. So honestly, you see this more and more nowadays. And to be honest, like the whole upswing of the chart from early happens behind closed doors. It happens among the teams, like the investors, the retail investors like us don't have a chance to actually get into these super early rounds before these
Yeah.
protocols are attracting hundreds of millions of dollars to the protocol. So the upside is actually kind of internal. It's kind of kept
Yeah,
internally.
exactly. And they raise this much. Just think about it. They have so many other like VCs and institutional investors that they have to prioritize as well. They
Yeah,
likely get tokens too. So um I like a lot of these projects. There are a lot of really solid projects. Like Polygon is solid. A lot of them have adoption. A lot of them have product market fit. But in terms of their tokens, them raising 100 million should really make you question like long term. Like if there's a swing trade, sure, I have no issue with that. But if you want to hold any of these through like an entire cycle or longer, you should really question like what's going on with their incentive structure.
100%. And like one word kind of hits my mind when I look at this, and when I see any project that's raised this much, one word, and it's unlocks. Right? Those unlocks. Eventually, those
Exactly.
early investors who put this money up will be having a chance to realize the gains on their investment. And these come in the form of token unlocks. So they get tokens that are released to them later on, which they can then dump on you. Even though you could have been the very first wallet to buy when TGE happened and when the token went live, and still have a ton of downside risk from the very beginning. Because like I said, all of the early price action took place behind closed doors and took place before the token was actually openly tradable. So that kind of spoils the vibe for me, because as Kevin mentioned, a lot of these projects are incredibly solid with great tech, tight security, and just all the things you need. Transaction speed, finality time, all these things are on point. But then, of course, you have so much downside risk to early investors, and that kind of breaks my heart a little bit. It's a deal breaker for me sometimes. And so, like Kevin said, you want to be very careful with your entries. I like to see most of the tokens in circulation before I go ahead and feel comfortable putting my capital in.
Okay, can you see the show the second tweet? I'm also going to share with you some more that I found.
Yeah, I have it here. DJ News breaking: Cardano drops out of the top 10 coins by market cap. Personally, I mean, they do have a call community, but personally, I think this makes sense. I guess also TRX did have that huge hype wave that we've been seeing over the last few days, which got it to inch past Cardano. What are your thoughts on this, Kevin?
Yeah, so I called a long time ago. I don't know if I can find the tweet. It's probably still there somewhere. I called that ADA would fall out of the top 10. And people back then ADA would had more of a cult community because yeah, it performed better. This cycle it hasn't really done anything, so its cult has kind of diminished in terms of their passion. I know there's still some passionate people about ADA, but I called they would drop out of the top 10 within 2 years. I don't know if my time frame was if it was within my time frame, but I was right, guys. I was right. Freaking Ada
Yeah,
fanboys who hated on me when I
yeah,
made that prediction. I was so right.
yeah.
Um, anyhow,
I'm not a Cardano fan myself, so
I
I'm
was
not a fan at
also
all.
I was also right about what was that called? Richard Hart's Hex. I was right
Hex.
about Hex, even though I really left curved or I really mid curved that because if I bought in, then I could have gone like 100x and then sell it before it drops all the way down.
Yeah, look at that Hex chart.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just especially when you zoom out, it looks so crazy. Like it's been decimated.
I sent you three
Oh,
other tweets, by the way, of some interesting topics I noticed lately.
all right, let's get right into it. Okay. All right, I see these here. And Jake Power, we're gonna go in order with these here. So hard to argue that Polymarket is not the top crypto app of the year. It's on track to reach 475 million in volume and 75,000 new accounts in August alone. It is universally cited by pollsters, pundits, normies, and campaigns. Usage and relevance are only going to accelerate as we get closer to November. And I agree with this because Polymarket, it's it's such a smart protocol and it makes a lot of sense. It's been seeing crazy adoption, and you can pretty much go ahead and bet on the outcome of pretty much anything major going on in the world, from politics to even tokens, I believe sports, and a whole bunch of different things like that. So it's a protocol that makes a lot of sense. Do you use Polymarket yourself, Kevin?
I check it a lot. I've used it once, but I don't usually like to. Uh, I prefer to trade Bitcoin or ETH using perps or buying altcoins. I don't know
Mhm.
if I really like betting on election results or some of that, but I have in the past though.
Okay.
It is a seamless experience, and I think we should be proud that this platform is doing well. Now the question is if it can maintain this post elections. I really hope it can, but it's going to have to do some like great have some great maneuvering,
Yeah,
you know.
I agree.
Um, but Polymarket, Pump.Fun, arguably the two biggest breakout apps of the cycle. I like Polymarket. I don't like Pump.Fun as much. But they're both arguably gambling related stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is our killer use case.
100% within the DGen culture. It's very within, the crypto culture, I guess, for these to be sort of chance based protocols here. But I like Poly Market, just like you mentioned. I don't use it myself to bet, but you can kind of go ahead and gauge market sentiment on any topic that they have on here, right? So you can
Yep.
see that, for instance, what's a good one? What's a good one to look at? If RFK drops out, who will gain more in polls? And 39% are saying Harris, and I guess then 61% are saying Trump. And you can kind of gauge market sentiment towards different things that you may not have a lot of knowledge about, or previous knowledge about. You can kind of see what most of the people on here, at least, are thinking and are feeling about something. They even have look, Bieber's baby, is it going to be a boy or girl? Just a whole bunch of random different topics you can go ahead and place bets on. So, I mean, yeah, Polymarket, like you said, one of the major breakout protocols or apps of this cycle or of this year. So, unpopular opinion, the top performers of this bull run, the OG DeFi projects, they may seem boring to some, but I see immense potential here. High circulating supply, survival throughout multiple cycles, strong communities and adoption, real revenue generation. I actually remember Kevin earlier in, I believe, within the retail DAO talking about Aave, one of the OG DeFi platforms, the OG lending and borrowing platform in DeFi, which changed the game. Looks like they mentioned it here too, Aave. And
Yes.
I love that these are being seen as the top performers. These are being the top performers because they're the actual DeFi functions that we want to eventually replace traditional means, right? Such
Yeah.
as lending and borrowing, and a whole bunch of different things that are available through
I
these platforms.
I'm not 100% confident on this thesis, but I do think it makes a lot of sense, mainly for two reasons. One is because typically the things that are slept on by the majority of retail tend to surprise. That's
Mm,
always been true in general. And number two is, like they said, these projects have a tokenomics advantage over the new ones that have a lot of unlocks coming, have a lot of VC prioritization, etc., etc. Regardless of what it is, these, if they're mostly unlocked, then it's more just pure supply and demand. It's just
yeah,
pure like market,
fair market.
just like if they're generating revenue, if people are using them, if their tokenomics wheel is churning, then that's more easier to kind of model. And then rather than like, okay, there's a unlock coming, are the VCs going to sell or not, or are they going to hold? That's like, you can't really model that. You can't really say one way or the other. So yeah, I think this is quite an interesting thesis. I wouldn't go all in on this thesis, but I think it does make sense, and there is a good chance that it does happen in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Some strong points here. As far, especially earlier on, we were looking at the unlocks, right? The longer these tokens have been out, the more tokens have been distributed to their early investors and more tokens in circulation. And as you said, that creates a bit more of a fair market. As there's true demand there, you get more of a fair value with the price action, right? So that's something cool to consider. They do say, though, for old tokens, you have more underwater bag holders, which will potentially cause sell pressure. So I guess there's both ways to look at it. But personally, I do like to see a project that is battle tested and has gone through multiple cycles and still survives, because most tokens don't last even an entire cycle, right? So something to consider there for sure.
Ooh, I have another thing another post I want to send you. I just found it recently. But I think there's another one.
Yes, I wouldn't bet against stablecoins and their issuers.
Stablecoins being on the rise is always a good sign for the bull market.
Yeah.
Now, I think that may be a lagging indicator, so you can't really like use it to trade, but stablecoins being at highs is always good for our industry. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Another
And
good
I
one.
have another one I just shared with you.
Let's have a look here. The dollar nearing sub 100 for the first time in over a year. Wow. On the US dollar index here.
Yeah, that is big because we all know, it's been talked about a lot in the past that when the dollar is strong, risk assets are weak. And vice versa. When the dollar is weak, like look at this. Can you zoom into this chart or just open it? Yeah. Perfect. When the dollar is weak, this is the US dollar index, so it's a rough indicator of its strength or weakness.
Mm-hmm.
If it's weak, then that means risk assets like Bitcoin and altcoins are strong. So if
Mm.
this bounces back up a little bit, it may bounce up a little bit, but if it's kind of like breaks this support per se and drops down, then
Yeah, maybe
oh
like
my god, alt season, here we come.
exactly. When you pair that with what Jerome Powell said earlier as well, that's very bullish for our alts and very bullish for risk assets in general. You know, when that money printer goes burr, right? A lot of money flows into risk assets. And of course, they've also declared monkeypox as a global pandemic. Hopefully, we don't see lockdowns or anything like that. But if that goes down and there are stimulus checks being printed and just more and more money printing, the better it is for our altcoins. Funny how that works. And you said you had another tweet from me, right?
No, that
Or
was the
was this
one.
or
That
this
was
was the one?
Yeah, that was the one.
Cool. You head over to the crypto bubbles. Kevin, now let's say alt market kicks back off as soon as let's say next week. What would you say is the sector that you would be looking at the most or preparing for the most? What sector do you see breaking out if we see an alt season? What would you think is the first mover?
Oh wow, that is hard to say. Um, Honestly, maybe like games and memes, like we've been talking about for the whole stream.
Memes, I feel like kind of just we're always kind of having a season within in of themselves. And I agree with you. I feel like memes are usually the first movers in the market, and they've actually been holding super strong throughout this cycle. But let's say we were excluding memes. I guess you mentioned GameFi, but just from a utility sort of standpoint, because I believe in this next leg, memes are still going to be around, but we're going to see a lot more liquidity flowing and attention flowing to the tokens that actually have some really solid utility that can push this industry forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always wanting for utility tokens to reign king, but that's hard to say. There's so many different sectors of utility. It's hard to guess which one's going to like pump first.
Fair say.
Like maybe it's the old ones, the OG DeFi, like that guy was talking about. But
Yeah.
somehow I think that that's probably not going to pump first. Like I'd be
Right.
surprised if it pumps first. So maybe AI crypto will have a resurgence. They've been kind of struggling lately.
Yeah, fair say. And we have a new trust for Tau, right? From I believe Grayscale dropped a Tau fund, right? So
Yep.
with that, we can see something interesting, and which is cool because Tau is also an undoxed team, and for them to reach the point of having an official trust is pretty interesting, I would say. So we take a quick look at BitTensor Tau up 9% today, up 26% on the week. That's kind of since that news from Grayscale, and it's been having a pretty strong run. All right. Interesting. So let's go ahead and actually see if the community has any picks as well, as we are potentially heading into the next leg of the bull run.
Yeah,
So
we can look at some questions real quick. I don't
how
think we
about
need to.
gold peg
I don't think we need to
coin?
spend time analyzing any one in particular, but
Okay.
we can take a look at some of the comments here.
How do you feel about these gold pegged assets? Would you buy like something like Pax G rather than going ahead and buying gold yourself? What's your take on these
I think
pegged
it's
assets?
okay to do a little bit if you want to be super liquid and be able to trade it quickly. I mean, those Pax G is pretty like good long track record, good good reputation. But if things are really about to take off, then I don't think I would choose gold. I mean, gold's going to go up along with everything else, but I don't think that's going to move the fastest.
Okay, fair say, fair say. Someone has a question for you directly, Kevin. Say, hey, Kevin, do you still have your short hedge position open?
I actually do. I actually do. I was scared a little bit earlier today. I closed it, but then I reopened it. Um, I'm okay with getting liquidated on this. And if it gets to 70K, oh my goodness, I'm going to short so hard you have no idea because it's a win win for me. Either we breach new all time highs, which would be a party, or if it drops back down for whatever reason, then my shorts print. So, yeah. Not everyone's going to be in my position, right? Because if you short hard and you get liquidated above 70K, new all time highs, then you may not be as deep in the industry as we are, right? Like we benefit in other ways when there's new all time highs. Our channel does well. A lot of people are more interested. our altcoin bags do better, etc., etc. Our spot bags, I mean. So yeah, that's my calculus. But to answer your question, yes, I do still have my short hedge position open.
Fair say, fair say, and popping open a short at the highs has been has seemed to done has seemed to do quite well for you. So someone's asking, Adam's asking, what is your exit strategy in this cycle? That's a very good question here. How do you plan on, when do you plan rather on starting to take profits a little bit more aggressively? Would you say it's a price target on Bitcoin or something like that? Or would
I,
you say it's more of a chronological time sort of target where, hey,
you,
if we get to here, I'm pulling out?
you're asking the exactly the right question. I would say I would look at both. If Bitcoin six figures is one, and also maybe mid next year. Obviously, you have to be nimble, and depends on like what else happens around the world, in the markets. But right now, that is my base case to start taking more aggressive profits at six figure Bitcoin and or mid next year.
Nice. That's
What
very
about
similar to mine.
what about you? Okay, okay, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say that's very similar to mine. Either 100 to 150K on a really, if we have this crazy bullish momentum, I would say even 200. But as Kevin mentioned, the six-figure range, I feel comfortable starting to get more aggressive with the profits that I pull out. And when I say profits that I take out, I mean take out pretty much for the rest of the cycle, waiting until the next bear market. So six-figure Bitcoin or Q4 of 2025, whichever comes first, I'll be taking most of my crypto off of the table personally. So I guess a similar strategy to you, but I've been very vocal about that. I've tweeted about that. And whichever hits first, I will start to pull out. Even at 100K Bitcoin, even if it just ticks over 100K, I definitely will be withdrawing pretty aggressively. Now let's go ahead and see pandemic memes. Let's start the trend. Um, if we take out stable coins, they're still in the top
That
10.
is true. That is true.
That's for ADA, right?
Yeah, for ADA.
Yeah, for ADA, if we take out stablecoins, still in the top 10. And that's a good thing to do because, stablecoins dominate the TVLs. Someone wants us to look at the dot chart. But are we going to get Sonum tokens? Hopefully one day.
Probably if they're public layer two, then it's probably going to be token some days, but we will see. Maybe if you've ever bought a Sony product like a PS5 or something,
That'd be a good
then
touch.
you'll get Sonium tokens.
That'd be a good touch. Or they
Hey,
do
I mean, with
airdrop to
Solana,
PS.
people bought the Saga phone to get their to get, what was that mean, bonk, to get bonk
Yep,
tokens, right? So if people may buy Sony products to get Sonium tokens, like for real, I'm not even joking. Sony execs, if you're listening to this, that could be a good strategy.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, just some speculation for the GameFi industry. Sony getting into blockchain potentially could be them having a little bit of foresight to what's to come in the gaming industry and potentially the GameFi industry. There's been rumors of games like GTA and a whole bunch of other different games that eventually will try to build an on-chain economy to go with their game. Do you see this as a pipe dream or as something that's actually feasible for the future, with Sony and potentially being one of the premier layers for online gaming economies, maybe for their ecosystem and for their games? Do you see that as a possibility?
It is possible, but right now GameFi is still so underdeveloped that they, as a sector, has a lot of growing that needs to be done before someone like Sony could take advantage of this.
Yeah, fair to say. Someone said Sony L2 will end up full of meme coins, Walkman, PlayStation, Cybershot. That's pretty funny. That's a good take. That's a pretty good take. Of course, that's the things we hope and dream about. But as Kevin mentioned, it's true that we are still quite a ways from seeing something like that become something that's a real thing that's actually adopted by the masses. And
Sounds good.
so Heisenberg asked, what's one angel investor that's on your radar? And honestly, I like the strategy of looking at VCs and looking at investors that are in certain tokens. You can kind of see different patterns. For example, Polychain, a lot of the tokens they invest in end up having pretty decent airdrops, right? So some airdrop farmers only follow Polychain. Kevin, do you have VCs that you watch in particular?
Not really that much to be honest these days, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, fair say, fair
Uh,
say.
yeah, I think this is good though. I think we can wrap up. I forgot I wish I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that everyone watching this, everyone who hears this, be on the lookout for Josh's full video. So he's been hosting the streams great, and he's gonna be on all these streams. Unless one Friday he's traveling or something and can't, then I'll take over. But he is going to do a regular full length video. It's going to be actually, I'm not even going to spoil what it's going to be about. So just be on the lookout for that for the next couple of weeks. We're probably going to take our time because it's his first one ever making it. So we're going to take our time and make sure it's like not rushed. But be on the lookout for that, and don't be surprised to see Josh on one of those regular videos as well.
Looking forward to that. My very first official crypto video with Coinsider. So definitely stay tuned and keep it locked for when that comes out. And of course, join me and Kevin in the Retail Investors DAO. Link is just in the description. Completely free to join. You can get all of our alpha as we're getting it, all the information that we're sharing as we're getting it. And before we hit the live stream, before we get
Exactly.
videos out, you can stay up to date on everything that we're doing and potentially get some really good alpha.
Sounds good.
100%. So we will catch you next Friday. Thank you for joining us for yet another live stream, and we hope you
Cheers.
have a great rest of the day. Cheers.